Hello and welcome back. In this lesson we'll look at some of the debugging tools that are made available to us in the Chrome browser. So let me start by opening index.html in live preview, and then I can go to the live preview window, and there's this hamburger at the top that will actually take us straight to the Chrome browser. And from here I can select the developer tools. We've looked at the elements and console tabs in previous lessons. Here we're going to look at the sources tab, which we can use to navigate through the source code. But first of all, I'm going to look at the network tab. This is used to show us all the requests made to remote web servers by the Chrome browser. So watch what happens if I refresh the page. It's gone and got index.html from our local web server here, but it's actually made more requests than that. Once it loaded that, it then went off and got our other files. And let's just click on index.html. It gives us some information about that request. It shows us the address that it went to. It's an HTTP GET request. It's showing us the response, so 200 OK. But we can look at the content of the response body. Because this is an HTML page, we can actually preview it here, which is the page without any styling in. If we look at the response, we can see references to other files. This source here is Visual Studio Code's live preview, the thing that ensures that every time we click a new keystroke, it updates. But what we're most interested in is the reference to index.css and later on main.js. So the browser goes off, it makes this request, it gets this response back, it analyzes the response, and then it goes back and gets the sources referred to in this page. We can see it goes off and gets a live preview, and then index.css and main.js. If we look at the index.css file, we can see the response body contains the CSS, and likewise with main.js, the response body contains our source code. In the source code for main.js, there's a reference to example functions.js. So once it receives main.js, it then goes off and loads example functions.js. And there is this initiator tab that will show us the chain of events. So here in example functions, it's saying I was loaded by main.js and it was loaded because of index.html. But if we go onto the index.html page, we can look at the initiator tab and it will show us the chain of events that occurred after index.html was loaded. So there's lots of options there. A couple of other things to note about the network tab. One is this clear button here, so we can clear the page. And the other is the preserve log feature. If I refresh the page, each time with preserve log on, it just accumulates more and more requests. Whereas if preserve log is off, then it just shows us the most recent reload. Also, sometimes it's desirable to be able to switch off the traffic. This red button, it'll just stop the traffic showing. So if I clear and then reload, you'll see that the traffic's happening. It's not being displayed in the tab. Sometimes maybe you want to load everything and then click on Click Me. You can ignore everything that comes before clicking on Click Me. So that's a quick whistle-stop tour of the network tab. Let's look at the sources tab where we can step through our code. Here we're in main.js, and if I put a breakpoint on log and then refresh the page, you'll see that it starts stepping through the code until it gets to our breakpoint. Log is called the log function. I can step into that using this button here, the step into button. And now the execution has passed to the log function and is waiting at the first line of that function. If I add our first variable here, value, you'll see that it's not available, and that's because we haven't actually executed this line yet. The yellow bar is showing is the line of code that's going to be executed next. So if I just step over that line of code, we can now see that it's executed, and in the watch list it's showing a value of Fred, and in fact it's showing it up here where it was initialized. And also if I hover the mouse over value, there's a tooltip showing it as well. If I step over the next line of code, the console.log, we have to go to this console window to see the output, which is a pain. So as an alternative, if we click on these three dots at the top and show console draw, we can actually have a second console down here, which will display as we step through our code. Let's quickly look at what happens when we execute these other two functions. So I'll put breakpoints in them both, and I'll just run the debugger until it gets to the next breakpoint. So here it is, it's got into log message, and we can see it's being called with the parameter myMessage, and if we step over the console.log, there it is in the console. Now just to remind you, in main.js we call runfunc twice. So next time I run the debugger, it'll stop in this line of code here. And runfunc has received a parameter func, and it's showing us the value of that parameter here. It's saying func contains a function log. So when we run that next line of code, we'll see it executes log up here. I'll let the debugger continue further. And this time the parameter contains the arrow function, which executes log message important. And again, I can step over that and we'll see it executes the arrow function. Now the arrow function is calling log message, so it's stopped at our breakpoint in log message. And if I step over that, it prints out important. So that's a very quick whistle-stop tour of the debugger, and I'll see you in the next lesson.